Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel for Performance Agile. I'm Eric.
And I'm Vince.
And today's topic, coaching. So for today's video, I'm going to do the quote. And today's quote is from Michael Jordan, and he is quoted as saying, "Some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, and others make it happen." And again, our topic of conversation today is coaching, and this is why we feel it is a relevant quote for today's topic. So on the topic of coaching, there are many different types of coaches. There's enterprise coaches, there's agility coaches, there's team level coaches, which could be known as the Scrum Master. But one of the things that I know that I get a lot, and I'm not sure about you, is a very classic scene from Office Space. There's a gentleman, he's being interviewed by the Bobs, and the crux of the whole conversation is, what is it you say you do here? And I get that question all the time. So before we talk about all the different types of coaches, what does a coach do?
Well, a coach does many things. As you stated, there's a variety of different coaches. So let's just revisit first for a second that the decision is made now. You and your company, you're brought in to be that coach, to help them through this transformation, to help them through this transition, to help them with their challenges, and to overcome those barriers that we talked about in our previous video that leads us to today. Bringing in a consultant, a coach, or a company with coaches is, in my opinion, not just because I'm biased in what we do, but I do what we do because I see the relevance in it and the importance of it in helping these companies get through these challenges. And that's exactly what coaches do. So coaches are people that have a variety of different skills depending on what kind of coaching that you're doing. So let's take, for example, you've got, just as you described, so we'll cover a couple of the key attributes of some of these roles that we call coaches. When you have somebody that comes in and works with the leadership, executive level coaches that help executives, understand what the challenges that are before them and the decisions that that they're going to have to make in terms of applying organizational change. Now, human resources will often have people on their staff that are certified in organizational change. And that's fantastic. If they don't, they need to, because coaches that will come in as change agents are doing exactly that, right? So we are suggesting changes to the organization. We have stressed in earlier conversations the importance of leadership buy-in, leadership support, and that means that your administrative staff, including finance and human resources, are all read in, they're all on board, and they all understand the changes that are going to occur in the various disciplines that they hold. Coaches come in a variety of different forms. So when we say that once we get past the executive level and we start working within the organization and we start setting up those product delivery models, those are your enterprise coaches, working with your senior engineers, your directors, senior directors, VPs on engineering, on the tasks now that are at hand. So we're working within the enterprise. We're talking about the technology. We're talking about the products. We're talking about stakeholders. Once we get past that level of activity and that level of coaching, now we're in a mid layer, your agile coach. Your agile coach is this your meat and potatoes person that's like right in the middle of things. It's that agile coach is working with your enterprise coaches and your business agility coaches, and also with your scrum masters and your product owners and your teams. So your agile coach is right in the middle of it, right in the mix of it.
And that's where I'm at right now.
Is that where you're at?
As an Agile coach, I sit right in that middle layer. I work up with peers in that Agility Center, the Enterprise Agility Center, and then I work with the teams, like you said, the Scrum Master's product owner. So I know that role very well.
So now, like this mid-layer coach, this Agile coach, you could have a DevSecOps coach. You could have, what else?
There's like technical coaches, non-technical coaches.
Absolutely.
Process coaches. Whatever you need.
Whatever is needed. Absolutely. And in your organization, especially if you're in a big organization and you're working in a very complex environment, you're going to have a lot of coaches. If you think you're going to get through a transformation in a complex environment without a lot of coaches on your staff, I think that's going to be a wake-up call for a lot of you that are going to be involved in this without that kind of help. So lastly is your team level coach. So your Agile coach is also going to work with the team, but what that Agile coach should be doing, in my opinion, is helping those Scrum Masters. That's really probably your first level mentor for your Scrum Masters. Depending on the level of experience and the amount of time that they have in Agile and working with teams, that's really one of your primary responsibilities as a coach, is to work and groom and help and mentor your Scrum Masters and making them better at their craft, helping the team be better at what they do. So there's a lot going on a regular basis with your coaches.
And another thing, if you apply Agile coaching to a traditional sports coach, you know that a traditional sports coach is not out on the field playing the game with the players. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not to say professionals like David Beckham, Messi, Tom Brady don't know how to play their game. They know how to kick a soccer ball and they know how to throw a football. But a coach is going to enhance their level of play at the team level. Mm-hmm. So another thing that an Agile coach does at the organizational level with the organizational leadership, and I think this is something that you were wanting to segue into, is we also, not only do we work at the team level with the Scrum Masters and teach them what a Scrum Master is and how they support the team, the organization, and the product owner, but we also work with the mid-level managers to try to get them to understand what is Agile leadership and the qualities of what an Agile leader is. So from a coaching perspective, we say, okay, your command and control style of leadership of you owe me so many pieces of software by X date, go execute. It's very top down, very, like I said, command and control, where I'm going to come to you and I'm going to say, this is exactly what I want. This is exactly when you're going to get it to me. And this is how much like money or resources have been allocated to you to get this done. Conversely now, we need those leaders to say, what can I do for you to enable, to empower, to free you up? Like, what can I take off of your plate to make you successful? So when it comes to that leadership role, one of the qualities that I strive for is servant leadership. So getting directors to understand, but what are a few other leadership styles that you like to see at the mid-level management?
Right. So I agree that coaching at any level, in my opinion, is founded in servant leadership. So it doesn't matter if, again, given the type of coach that you are, the level of coach that you are, and there's some that we didn't even hit on that I do want to get to here in a minute, like leadership coaching and life coaching, things like that. Servant leadership and understanding leadership principles, leadership styles, not only for yourself, but for the people around you, so you can recognize that and know how to respond and adjust to different leadership styles is very important. So if you're a coach, if you're calling yourself a coach, and you don't have any formal training in psychology or coaching or in some of these areas, because you can be a very technical coach on products specifically, like you can be a Jira coach or a Rally coach or a Jenkins coach or something something like that, very specific, a red hat coach even, great. You're brought in for your expertise in that area to work with a very specific group of people.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. We need all of these different types of coaches. But if you walk into a situation and you feel like, well, I can do this, I can engage in this conversation, or I can engage with this level, or I can help problem solve with this group. You're going to find out real quick if you have exceeded your level of expertise. And so you want to be careful, because you not only will, as a coach, one of the things that you have to do is you have to establish an engagement. And your coaching engagement is essentially your working agreement with the people that you're engaging with at whatever level. And you agree as to what your style of coaching is, what you're going to do and provide as a service to this group of people. So there's an engagement there with your customers, if you will. And there's an understanding. Now, with that engagement goes, you will also build trust. Now, trust is critical in the coaching role with everyone that you engage with, because if you can't establish that rapport, if you can't come to an agreement and then gain their willingness to let you earn their trust, then you're really going to have a very hard time in whatever it is that you're trying to provide as a service to this group of people. Trust is absolutely critical.
Yeah, if they don't trust you, they're never going to listen to your recommendations. I could have the best plans and ideas for this Agile transformation, but if nobody trusts me,
right,
nobody wants to listen to me,
right,
it's going to fall on deaf ears. I'm going to say, yeah, okay, great, thanks, appreciate you, bye-bye.
So another, I think, common mistake in people who are coaching is you might absolutely be brilliant and you might be the smartest person in the room at the time. But coaches aren't really your first line of solving problems. Coaches walk through problem solving activities, but coaches should not be jumping to solutioning for the people that they're coaching. So a common mistake that a lot of coaches want to do, because we as people, we've established that because we're people and we're working with people, one of the things that we want to do is we want to rush to judgment. We want to rush to solve. We want to jump in and, we want to help, right? Well, sometimes by helping, we're hurting. So a coach needs to know when to give a little bit and then pull back,
So that is non-directive coaching is what you're getting at. That's the whole concept of, we have a chasm, say, and it dips off into the bottom. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, build me a bridge to get me across, it's, we need to get across this chasm, figure out how. Mm-hmm. You're putting the hands of the decision and the critical thinking down to the people that have all of the knowledge, those SMEs that have been hired to fulfill a specific role. Testing, development, ops.
Yep.
We're not going to go there, hold their hand, and tell them how to do their job. We're going to say, you're getting paid very well to do this job.
Yeah.
You're supposed to know not only your job, but maybe some forward-thinking things on how things can be done better. Because we all know everybody who's sitting in their job thinks to themselves, the current process we're engaged in is cumbersome, it's heavy-handed, ham-fisted. There has to be a better way to do things. What do you got? What are those better ways? How do we move the needle, not in the right direction, but in a direction? So you don't want to, like you said, you don't want to go out there and say, hey, this is what you need to do.
Right. Because
that could be potentially the wrong solution to that problem.
Well, you're not really helping them.
No.
So it's the whole, you can, teach that person to fish, right? So that they can survive on their own. And quite honestly, if you're a coach and you're engaging within a company, so I mean, it's one thing if you're a life coach, right? And you have this business and you're working, in that capacity on your own. When you're brought into an organization, um, life coaching should not be involved unless you take it outside of what you've been brought in to do. You've been brought in to provide a service very specifically to that organization, and Agile in this case. Um, and so, if people need a counselor, then they should see a counselor, right? If you're a life coach, you just happen to also be certified as a life coach, it's probably inappropriate to do that kind of coaching in a workplace like that if you're brought in as an Agile coach of some kind. So take that somewhere else. But if you really want to be helpful in your coaching role, then what you want to do is you have to realize that you're temporary. So you're going to get them to where they need to be. And the more that you help them get to where they need to be, the more that you're removing yourself as that they're not being reliant on you. You're not the hero syndrome. So you're working your way basically out of what they're doing so that they can step up. Leaders naturally will fill those voids and step up and fill in. And that's what your role is to help teams be better performing teams and people be better performing people so that you can maybe come back around in another month or two and check on them and see how they're doing, and maybe introduce some new things and challenge them with some new ideas, and then get them going and then roll out, and then maybe come back around. That's, in my opinion, how coaches should operate. You come in, you help them out, you get them started, you get them going, you build that trust, you help them along, guidance, leadership, mentorship, ease yourself out. If you're still around, come back around in a little while, see how they're doing, roll back off, and so it goes. So that is the role of coaching at the beginning and during an Agile transformation. Love to hear your thoughts on all of these different levels of coaching, all of these different aspects of coaching, some of your experiences, because quite honestly, it is a very challenging role. It's very rewarding. I love it. So I can't say enough good about it. But just know, I'm sure you're going to agree with me here on this one, because I already know the answer to this one. You're going to run into some people who don't necessarily think that they need a coach. And so you're going to find that. Mm-hmm. And it's okay. You should be prepared for that. It's okay. There's a lot of people that appreciate it. And so it's all good, very rewarding, but absolutely essential in what we're doing here. Well, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe, click a like, leave us some comments, and we will see you on the next video.